Okay, so we've gone through the first four icons, and now it's time to do our fourth icon, which is this sort of flame or fire icon right here. So if you take a quick look at it, you can see that there's no familiar geometry to it. So it's not something that we're going to create using our shape tools or anything like that. So the way we're going to use this is primarily using the pen tool. So let's go ahead and get started. Step one, as always, is we're going to zoom in so we can get a better look. So that is spacebar command, and we're going to click and drag downward to get a good look at it. And for this one, we want to go in pretty tight because we want to sort of, oh, not that tight. We want to have a pretty good look at what the pen tool is doing. All right. So the pen tool, as you know, is powerful and not very intuitive, and it requires doing a lot of sort of changing course midstream and changing the way that the tool functions as we go. So there are a number of different types of points. We have corner points, curve points, so on and so forth. So why don't we just go ahead and get started? So with the pen tool selected, and we want to make sure that it's just the regular pen tool up here, we're going to start in this lower point here, right? So we're just going to do a quick click release. And next, we're going to try to identify places in the curve that make the most sense to put a new point. And the way that we achieve smooth curves is by having as few points as possible, right? Because the more points we have, the more sort of jaggedy the line is going to be. So let's try doing as few as possible. So here we're going to click, drag, release, and you see we're focusing on that bottom arc right now. We're going to try to get that into place. We've got this leftover fill from our last icon. So let's see. And it's not going to let me change that up here. Maybe I can undo that under appearance. Yeah. So I'm going to change that to null. And I'm going to change the stroke to black so I can see what I'm doing. All right. So then back to the pen tool. We're still here. And I'm going to go to the sort of middle of the belly of this curve to pick up the next point. And even if it's a little too extreme, which it looks like it might be in this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because we can always go back and edit these when we're done, right? So that's another simple curve point. Now here is our sort of next most challenging point is this sort of changing directions point. So if I click, I can control where that is, just like a normal curve point, but my next point would also be influenced by a curve, right? So I'm going to undo that. And here what I'm going to do is draw the first part of the curve, and then if I hold my Option key down, then it allows me to set my second sort of curve control point in a different direction. So I can point that up, and now here I'm just going to do a quick click release for this guy. All right, now you can see that's kind of tight and squishy up there, but don't worry about that. We can go back and fix that later. What we really want to focus on now is just getting the overall shape defined with as few points as possible. All right, so click, drag, release, and then we'll come up here and we'll click, drag, but before we release, we want to change directions. So we hold the Option key down and we come back somewhere like that. And then we'll do a click, drag, release, and come down here, click, drag, release, And down here, click, drag, but then we'll Option, release, same thing here, click, drag, Option, release, same thing here, click, Option, release, here, same thing here, click, drag, Option, release. Let's see if we can do this with just one click, drag, and then down here we're going to go ahead and just click. And if you look at that, how the cursor changes, when we're about to close a shape, we get that little circle shape in the lower right hand corner of the brush icon or cursor icon down there, and that indicates that we're going to close this object. So there. All right, now we can go back and edit these, right? It's pretty close, but there are little things that are a little blobby and a little clumsy, and so we can go back and edit these to get them as smooth as possible. And the way we do that is with the white arrow or the direct selection tool. So the first thing I'm going to look at is this point. So what I'm going to do is sort of shorten up those handlebars here, and I want that one really short, right? And this guy's probably a little long too. And there we go. That's good enough. And this guy, I'll bring him in a little bit. And this one down here, looks like this one's the culprit. And that's actually not too bad. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. And it looks pretty much the way we want it to. So with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and remove the stroke by setting it to, oh, not there, here, setting it to null. And then changing my fill to white. And then this time I'm going to try to think ahead a little bit. I'm going to set my, release that, and then with my tool here selected, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can change. Oh, no. Oh, that's changed. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and hold the Shift key down with my rectangle tool and release that, and go in as usual and find a radius point and pull in the corner until it looks about where I want it to be. All right. And then I'm going to zoom out and select all of these objects. And it's really just two. But I'll deselect the background object. Move these back out to the side. Select the background. Go to my eyedropper tool. Click on the red background, and as always, because that's the most recent thing I created, it's going to be on the top of the object order, and so I will right click on it with my black arrow and go to Arrange, Send to Back. Right, so that looks pretty much exactly the way I want it to, and I'm going to go ahead and select both objects, group them, zoom out a little bit, and move that into position. Now remember, on your test, you're only going to be required to do 2 of these, even though we're doing all 6 of them here. Okay, so hopefully that one wasn't too hard. I know the pen tool can be challenging. This would be pretty hard to do using the pencil tool too. So this one is really a test of your ability with the pen tool. Easy if you know how, pretty hard if you don't. All right, so stay tuned, and we'll get to our last icon, which is the little house, and we'll get that one figured out too. So thanks again for watching.